My name is Leo Sawyers. I'm the Community Program Manager for Urban Green Programs with the Student Conservation Association. We're here today at Roxana Park in East Chicago celebrating Arbor Day. A little bit about the organization. The Student Conservation Association is a national nonprofit organization with a mission of helping build the next generation of conservation leaders. We engage young people in hands-on service to the land in all of our public areas across the country, in national parks, public parks, forests, national forests, you name it, we're there. Here today we're helping plant trees in the city of East Chicago, one of the most industrial parts of the country, the southern tip of Lake Michigan, home to a lot of heavy industry, highways, railroads, and a lot of residential areas in the Chicago metropolitan region. Why is it important to plant trees? Well, trees will exist without people, but people can't exist without trees. And it's very challenging for trees to exist in urban areas. You're thinking about infrastructure, you're thinking about heavy salts and just minimal green spaces, and trees want to grow big, they want to expand, and we have our sidewalks, we have our roads, we have all these things that we need to operate in cities, and trees need a little bit of help. So today what we're doing is we're planting 27 trees here at Roxana Park, located in East Chicago. We're going to plant a mix of native trees. The benefit of planting native trees is that these trees has adapted to this region over millions of years, and they're the most equipped to supporting the wildlife here that also evolved in this region. They provide a number of eco-services or environmental services, all the way from carbon sequestration, water absorption, to help with our stormwater runoff, adding nutrients back into the soils as the leaves drop, providing critical habitat for birds and pollinators and other wildlife that lives in our urban areas. And sometimes you might even find a great tree that provides some food for you as well. Some of the trees that we're going to be planting here today are oaks, chinkapin oaks, shingle oaks, and bur oaks, and a couple of red oaks. We'll also have a mix of some conifers with some white pines. All of these trees, again, are native to this region, and they do well in urban areas. What else can I say? Is this going to be like edited a little bit? Okay, I'm like, what else can I say? This partnership between East Chicago and the Student Conservation has been existing since 2016. We've planted over 10,000 trees with our partners and community across Northwest Indiana, and many of those trees being planted in the city of East Chicago. We've planted in all of the parks, all of the public parks in East Chicago, over 1,000 trees, provided trees to private residents who wanted to help beautify their neighborhoods by planting a tree in their yard. One thing that we do at all of our plantings is help people learn proper tree planting techniques so that they can properly plant and maintain those trees to help give those trees the best shot of reaching maturity. So I'm really excited to be here today planting with East Chicago high school students. Our mission is to help build the next generation of conservation leaders, and I can't think of a better way that we're able to do that than help inspire the next generation of folks that are going to be the stewards of their own urban forest in their community. So we're joined today with more students than we're planting trees, which is a great ratio. And we could always plant more, but we're hoping to at least plant some seeds in all of these young students' minds so that they take this with them and become better stewards for the environment as they grow.
I'm David Lane, Central High School teacher, sponsor of the National Honor Society.
And I'm Jonathan Hampton, a member of the National Honor Society.
And I'm proud to say it's our 7th year helping the city plant trees on Arbor Day. It's one of my favorite days of the year. Not only because the kids like to give back and help the city, but it's also a great way to teach them about helping with the environment and other great things that are going on for Earth Day and Arbor Day.
And as Mr. Lane just said, Arbor Day as a whole is extremely important, especially to us, because our one way to give back to the environment in an extremely meaningful way, especially by planting trees like how we're going to be doing today.
We just love partnering with the city. We love our city, and the students of East Chicago volunteer to help every time they get the opportunity. That's why I love these kids.
An extremely enjoyable experience all around. Even though it's my second year being in NHS, I did participate in the Arbor Day event last year, and I'm pretty sure, or no, it is going to be just as good as it was last year.
All right, so I just want to welcome everybody. This is Marino Solorio. I'm the park director here for the city of East Chicago. Thank you all for making it here today on this actually very beautiful day. Not too hot, not too cold, enough so that we can get our hands dirty and not sweat too much, right? But this is our annual Arbor Day celebration. Give yourselves a round of applause for coming here and celebrating this with us. As you can see behind us, there's a lot of students here, about 37 of them. They're coming from Central High School. I know different groups are also represented here. So why is this important? A city like ours with the urban grid requires a lot of trees to help purify our air. And so ever since SCA, in partnership with the city of East Chicago and Mayor Anthony Copeland, we've been doing this for approximately a decade now, if not more. And there's been a big difference that has been made in the parks, in the right-of-ways, in other spaces in the community. And these things are very important, as I said, not only holistically and just, for the environment, things like that, but trees raise values to properties. Trees purify air. Trees allow people to congregate, such as this, especially like in parks and open spaces. So we thank you all for making the time for something that's this important. I do want to mention that the federal government right now is slashing a lot of funding for programs like this. And unfortunately, people's jobs are on the line. Programs like this that are making a difference in the city of East Chicago and in neighborhoods around this area, it's going to take a toll. And so even more the reason why we should be here today doing what we're doing today to make a difference and let those people and those naysayers and the government, let them know what we stand for, what we want, and what the focus should be. So I will have Leo from SCA talk a little bit about what the organization has done, and then we will continue on with the show and tell, and then we will talk about the ceremony in a little bit, and then if any public officials want to say something, then they can. So, Leo?
Good morning, everybody. It really is an honor and a privilege to be here, joined by so many of you guys, representatives from the city of East Chicago, the students here in East Chicago, and it's a beautiful spring day, so I'm like extra happy. We're gonna get some trees in the ground, but I do, before we get started with any of that, want to share a little bit about our organization and some of the impact and the work that we've been doing here in East Chicago and across Northwest Indiana. So as Marino shared, my name is Leo Sawyers. I'm the Community Program Manager for the Student Conservation Association. And for those of you who aren't familiar with who we are, we're a national organization, but we have a hyper-local kind of program here in Northwest Indiana. A lot of the work that we do in Northwest Indiana is urban forestry. And this particular event, Arbor Day, is very special to me because this is where I got my foot in the door for conservation. It was at an Arbor Day celebration here in the city of East Chicago at MacArthur Park Golf Course. And that was maybe one of the first times I've ever planted a tree, and definitely one of the first times I found like my tribe of people. I was like, oh my God, this is awesome. So this is a special event to me. I'm really happy to see it grow. And all the support that everyone provides to our programs from the city of East Chicago. We've built a beautiful partnership, as Marino shared, going on over a decade. SCA is part of a group called Community, and we've planted over 10,000 trees across Northwest Indiana, and many of those trees are in East Chicago. So for those of you who might frequent your parks or bike trails across like Erie, Lackawanna, going through Hammond, or some of the right-of-ways in your community, or even maybe some of your neighbors who recently have planted a tree. A lot of those trees have been provided through the SCA. And it's really cool. I was just having this conversation with one of my colleagues. Some of the trees here were from a previous planting. And so there's mixed age trees, some of the red buds here, some of the chinkapin oaks, the pines. These were trees that were planted by community members in this city at a different time. And to continue this legacy and tradition is really an honor and a privilege. And so a huge shout out to everyone who's joining us today to help continue this tradition and plant another 27, adding to the 11,000 plus trees that we've planted in Northwest Indiana. So shout out to all of you guys. And I want to add, as Marino shared, there's a lot of fluctuation and challenges happening as it relates to climate change, climate justice, and that's also something that's very important to this community here. This is one of the most industrial parts of the country, and definitely one of the most industrial parts of the state. We have lots of heavy industry, railroads, highways, residential areas. I mean, you name it, there are so many impervious surface and heat island effects happening in this region. And our trees, they will survive without us, but we won't survive without trees. And it's very, very hard for trees to exist in urban areas because you think of all the development that we rightfully do need here, but you think of all the development that needs to happen. You think of, a bad storm comes through and there's like limited resources. And so, the fix is really to take trees down. All these things that work against supporting our urban forests, it's really hard to find some of those funding to not just plant trees, but to also maintain those trees. Because it takes, regardless what people say and think, it takes a long time for trees to grow. Okay, these trees are growing kind of good, but they're not those big mature trees that provide the tons of gallon of water retention or carbon sequestration, all of those big eco services that we think about and talk about. The young trees aren't the ones that are doing it, it's the big trees. But for a young tree to get there, it takes a couple decades. And it takes a lot of stewards caring and advocating for those trees. So not only do I want people to take pride in planting trees today and helping beautify this community, but also take this as an opportunity to share this knowledge with people in your social circle, in your network, and talk to them about the importance of planting and supporting native trees in our urban environments. I'll pass it back over to Marino, I think, right? Yep. But thank you so much, you guys. I'm so excited to plant some trees with you guys today. Thank you.
Thank you again, Leo, and thank you, SCA, for everything that you guys have done throughout the years. You talk about legacy and tradition, and we're back at this park again after a couple of years. And the reason we moved it this year, we wanted to memorialize someone that has made a difference in the park system, in the city in general, and she lives in this neighborhood in Roxana, so I felt it was very important to bring it back this way and plant a tree in her honor. And her name is Fran Nowaki. She's here in the audience here, used to be our park manager here at City v Chicago. So you talk about legacy and tradition, right? So this tree that we're gonna grow for her in the old Roxana Park, where it used to be, I don't know if you all from here, but there used to be a park all the way over there by Walsh, at the end by the river, and we moved the park this way. But that space is prime for spaces, open spaces for people to enjoy. And so in memory of her, we're planting a tree that in decades, her family, her kids, her grandkids, and their kids will be able to enjoy that shade that tree is going to provide, and that purifying air. So again, thank you, Fran Nowaki, for all your service that you've done for the City of East Chicago. We thank you, and we memorialize you today. So a couple of last minute things. There are the third door on the side. There is going to be some hot dogs, chips, lemonade, things like that after you're done planting. There is access to bathroom, to the bathrooms. And then we will be doing a proper show and tell first to kind of show you all how to properly, because there is a science to this, y'all, of how to properly plant trees. And so Leo will be handling that here, and then what we'll be doing is we'll be planting the trees here and then splitting off. We have park vans here. They're going to take you to the old Roxana Park and finish planting there. And then everyone then will be coming back this way to break bread together. So any questions? Not everyone rush at once, right? Did you need something else to say?
So I know a couple of folks slowly trickled in. If you haven't had the chance yet, there's behind you, behind the group here, there's a blue pop-up tent. If you could please check out that tent, sign our volunteer waiver, as well as grab any PPE or personal protective equipment. We have gloves, eye pro. There's a couple of shirts still left if you guys would like to grab one of the volunteer shirts for today. But we are going to do a proper tree planting demonstration. And Sarah's waving her hand here. Sarah's going to take a group kind of in this center area. So if we can start migrating, or before we migrate, Marina's going to say one last thing. But once we get settled in, if you guys can kind of migrate to the folks that will be waving their hands, we'll do a tree planting demo just to make sure that everyone knows how to properly plant a tree, and then we'll break off and start planting trees across the park. Thank you, guys.
So I hate to beat a dead horse here, right? But again, these things are very important. As I mentioned, the reasons why they're very important. So make sure that you try to take time to contact your legislators to tell them why these things are important in communities like this. I remember when we first started this program, it started with 5 volunteers and a vision, and asking the mayor, hey, can they have access to resources to be able to, plant trees in the city? And the mayor wholeheartedly said, let's do it. And so this has been in the works for a very long time. So again, I want to thank Mayor Anthony Copeland for supporting this initiative and continuously supporting it. And again, make a difference, make those phone calls so that we can get the resources to continue greening EC. So thank you. All right, so if we all can get to that side over there, they're going to do the show and tell, and then we can get the planting going.
These trees are not naturally grown. They don't naturally grow into a canister like this. So the roots begin to hit the walls of the canister and circle around themselves. As you plant the tree, you want to make sure that you pull these roots out from circling around the tree. The sod, we're going to use the sod for later in the planting. So we're going to get the end of our shovel in. We're going to bend the shovel at like a 45-degree angle. And the sod is just a fancy term for the grass. It's just the grass. All right, we're going to pull.
You're fine.
You have both? Dog and a cat? Okay.
Forget that.
Start early.
You can leave the room. I want you to use this and just record with that. And go over to that area. I'm going to go
We
get my
can
big
measure
camera.
it by turning our shovel upside down and getting a little reading. So I need it to be about this deep. And we're going to start digging that hole.
Sorry.
Wait, I just hit.
Can't wait too far. Are you doing
Wait, this isn't my blood group because I'm Mexican.
to be around for the garden? I often think you're good.
You have like those hits and stuff.
Are you coming back soon? Did Anchorman tell you like in the direction how to get you?
Yeah, they're taking one. They both. I don't think we're
I can see these kids is here.
It's a true one. I personally don't think. Okay, no. We are super strong.
And Thursday.
And we're gonna do it the fast.
Plus these kids are crazier than that. Not only tangential.
Oh wait, so we know where it is.
Because some of them are exact. They like to put down in there.
But we're already measuring.
We didn't do this when you were right?
Yeah.
Big thing.
It's all
Oh,
over.
now I took it from my best. It's not environmental, but this started 10 years ago.
It's just small stuff. I feel like I accidentally watched the you guys. It's a good thing to look for him.
Say hi. Say hi. What should I do?
We're almost at height. We're just going to dig out the last little loose dirt from the hole.
Like we were like
This is like
not as close as you. That your teacher. They said like your brother's friend. The brother says. So she's not gonna recognize me.
Yeah, I think we're good.
Did you see your deer?
Okay, sorry for the distraction. The dirt is a bit tough, so it took us a moment to dig the hole. Dig the hole as wide as this dirt can go. Keep the sod and the dirt in a separate pond. Both very self-explanatory. Anyway, we're gonna bring the bag closer to the hole, rip our bag off,
It's all.
let any loose dirt fall in the grass or in the hole itself.
They all got real excited.
And the most important part, I cannot stress to you enough, is that the trees breathe from their roots. So you need to have that first big root exposed. And you need to make sure it's not circling around the trunk of our tree. You know, you can't breathe when you're getting your ear choked. So you don't want the tree to get choking too. So we're gonna loosen up this root ball and make sure all these roots are ready to grab onto the dirt around it. And in this tree specifically, I have a great example of a girdling root right here. It is way too close to the base of the tree, and it is way too thick to be right there. So I'm gonna forcibly try to move that. And if you're not comfortable touching it, please just ask an SCA member. We're perfectly fine and experienced moving these. The tree can lose about 20% of its roots before it'll start to harm the tree. So this root is beyond help, and I'm going to cut him out. And we have pruners for those, but the pruners are going to be only with the SCA members, so please ask a member. And I put this tree in the ground without touching the bottom, but we're going to lift him up one more time and make sure that his bottom is all ready to grab the dirt around him and loose. It is so important that the trees are ready to grab the dirt around them. So make sure all those roots are loose. If you see anything concerning in the root structure, please just let us know. SCA can come take care of it or flag it for later care. Okay, now that we have our roots set, I'm gonna have our friends here, you guys, put in the dirt back into the hole while one person holds the stem of the tree. Okay. So now that we have enough dirt that the root is stable, we're going to take one last look and find the base of this tree and see where its first humongous roots come out. So this huge root right here, if everybody can see that, that is where he's breathing. And we want that to stay exposed 100% of the time, even after we're done covering it all with dirt. When we're filling the hole with dirt, we're only filling it with our loose dirt, not the sod. We're going to leave our sod for later. The soil's a little tough this morning, so make sure you are careful with your back.
Grandma back.
Pull this over?
Yeah.
Hey,
Bring it.
it's okay if there's a little bit where you can say.
Yes.
You mean the extra one?
Yes.
All right, I'll be right back.
Okay. Okay. Once we've got all of our dirt placed or trees secure, we're gonna take a little step around and the dirt kind of falls in. So you're gonna make sure we have everything compressed and secure. We call it our little tree dance. And give him a little look. We can see he's bending this way, so I'm gonna give him a little more soil on the side he's leaning towards. This way.
Here, doesn't I can use this?
Okay. Now, with the soil we set aside, the sod that we set aside, we're going to make a donut around the space of the ring we dug. So wherever that spray paint was, you're going to put the soil upside down so that the grass can die. And you're just going to make a little ring around him, a little moat, if you will, so that all the rainwater can stay collected right in this little area. And this will also kill a lot of the grass on the edges of the ring so that the tree doesn't have any competitors with his roots. Just for peace.
Any thin spots? I have a huge piece right here.
We have mulch.
Okay, Corey, you can always say that you're playing at the trees.
Have you watched the Have you watched the Lorax movie?
Which movie?
The Lorax.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
I feel like that. Okay, once we have our donut of sod established, we can place the mulch. Each tree is going to get about half a wheelbarrow of mulch. Our SCA members will be coming around to place it, so you shouldn't have to. But if you do end up being in the position where you're placing the mulch, half a wheelbarrow. Excuse me, Devin.
Pardon me.
That's a little more than half a wheelbarrow, but don't worry about it.
Yes.
Okay, the wider the better for the mulch ring. And in the mulch ring, we are still going to make sure that at the end, we still have that root spur uncovered. And we don't want any mulch near the trunk of the tree. The mulch is here to hold in water when it rains and to keep him nice and moist, but we do not want the trunk of the tree to get moist at all, because if it is ever wet, it signals to the tree to start growing roots there, and we don't want him to do that. So we're gonna make sure it's all just dirt around the base of the tree and mulch on the exterior. No, it's just the donut. It's so tall. It's all it is. If anything, I put way too much. Okay. Well, after we have our mulch established, each tree needs about 10 gallons of water. So we're going to give him 2 buckets. And we're going to let it percolate and go down before we give him any more water. If it fits in the donut ring, though, you can give him the 2 buckets. And then we have ourselves a tree planted. Yay! Okay, feel free to get started. I'm going to start going around and touch up the bag.
I love her. Chip, I'm a giant.